Though bonsai, or tree in a pot, first appeared in China more than 1,000 years ago, the Japanese refined the practice into a highly formalized art.
When my father first started bonsai, he was a gardener. In the 60s, a lot of Japanese were the gardeners. They collected wonderful materials from people's yard.
Roy Nagatoshi runs a bonsai nursery and teaches this ancient art form in Silmar, California.
My father's first bonsai, it's out there, it's a Japanese boxwood. That particular boxwood was growing right on the side of the driveway of this apartment building. But because it's been run over so many times, the tree didn't die, but it keeps fighting back. It wants to grow, and develop this wonderful scars, interesting bend on that thing, and it made a great bonsai material.
Bonsaists rarely grow trees from seeds or cuttings. That tacks a few more years onto an already long process. Nagatoshi travels throughout the United States and internationally, doing workshops and demonstrations, but his local students mostly come from the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. They bring trees and skill sets at various stages of development. Nagatoshi says when he designs a tree, he looks for a way to highlight its interesting features.
Yeah, something has to break up over here.
Grafting is a way for bonsaists to add branches or change a bonsai's foliage.
I grafted the Chinese juniper, which has a much better quality of foliage compared to its original foliage.
Nagatoshi says grafting adds about a year to the training process.
Very important thing is that you cannot skip the watering.
Bonsai need frequent watering because shallow pots limit the amount of soil, moisture, and nutrients available to the tree. So even one day without water can stress some species. However, there's more to bonsai maintenance than a daily drink. Nagatoshi says he feeds his trees with fertilizer every 3 months. He also protects them from Southern California's extreme rays with a tarp that filters sunlight. And he says bonsaists have to be on the lookout for creepy crawlies.
If you're a bonsai owner, you gotta keep your eyes open because pests can do some serious damage to the tree.
And then there is an invisible threat, disease. For that, Nagatoshi relies on a familiar household product.
If you read the label, it says it kills 99.9% of the germ. And when you talk about germ, you're talking about everything, fungus, bacteria, virus-type disease.
Nagatoshi spends much of his time trimming and grooming foliage.
Well, of course, you're dealing with something living. They keep growing too, just like our hair, So occasionally you have to give a haircut. Well, let's take an example of dogs. Taking the dogs to a groomer. They not only clip the hairs, but they also have to comb out excessive amount of accumulated hair inside. We do the same thing with bonsai too.
Nagatoshi says a fear of cutting too much prevents many hobbyists from achieving a bonsai's potential.
It loses a shape, it doesn't have that tidy look to it, and you're not presenting the optimum aesthetic value of the tree.
Bonsai becomes an art the minute that you take a piece of raw material and you begin pursuing the more idealized form within that material. The minute that you cut the first branch, I think it starts that piece of material on its path toward an art piece.
Nagatoshi doesn't hang price tags on his bonsai, but many sell for several hundred and even thousands of dollars. But it's not just bonsai's skill and talent that people are paying for when they buy bonsai. Availability of plant material and where a tree comes from play roles. Some may be imported from Japan or collected from the wild, where a tree might have had hundreds of years to develop the character of age. A large part of the value repays the investment of time that someone else has put into a tree.
Almost 3 years of growth right there. I've run into very few lawyers doing bonsai because they don't have that patience. They want to see the result right away. And with bonsai, it doesn't happen,